courts.
Right.
I know that's a lot, but as you look at this right now, what do you think the real number could be in the end, or the percentage?
Well, it's hard to say how many will actually take up the offer on the buyout, but I don't think there's any question, Bill, that there is an enormous amount of room for reduction in force. And the fact borne out by a study that was done not that long ago, it was actually reported on by the New York Times that only 6% of the federal workforce is back in the office full time. I mean, think about that.
Wow.
Now, there are some offices, obviously, that you can, or jobs you can do remotely, but the federal government, the federal workforce, this, like I said, this is long overdue. It's going to take somebody probably from the outside, somebody like Elon Musk, to be able to do it and do it right. And obviously they're going to identify some things that, you know, perhaps can't be changed or fixed, but there's a ton of stuff out there, I think,
it's super
that can
popular.
be done better. Yeah, well, I didn't think about it. I mean, the inefficiency in our federal government that's baked in and built in literally over decades.
Well, I'm sure you probably ran on the issue when you first ran for.
I did, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everybody does.
The other thing is that President Trump is going to get his cabinet.
Right.
And one of the reasons he's going to get it is because you were able to shepherd that through. The pace, to some people, might not make sense, but given the rules that are in place for how long you have to have debate, it seems to me you've done a pretty good job.
Well, we've tried to manage the clock, Dana, and you're right, it's hard, and particularly when you've got a lot of Democrat resistance, which we do. So we're having to work through that. But we've figured out ways to manage the clock in a way that I think maximizes the ability for the president to get his team in place as quickly as possible, and we'll continue to do that.
If you look at the chart there, we can see the red line is the number that you've been able to get done in the same amount of time.
Right, and but it takes it's not, you know, and it takes a team effort, which we've had. Our members have been really good, and I think the president in the end is going to have the team he wants to implement his agenda, which we fully support, and we're going to do everything we can to see that that gets done as well, by supporting him where necessary with legislative initiatives and activity as well.
You're going to have a big battle.
It is a big battle.
To decide like what you're going to do on the budget, how you're going to reconcile that with the House, and whether it's one big beautiful bill or you're going to break it up in two.
Well, you know,
I don't know when that debate is decided.
Well, we're in the process right now. We have the same end result, end goal. I mean, we want to get to the same destination. How we get there, the House and the Senate operate differently, clearly, and we have procedural issues we have to deal with in the Senate. But to the degree that these efforts are going to, at some point, they're going to merge. I mean, we're going to link up with the House and get something to the president that he can eventually sign into law. But, you know, in the meantime, obviously, what I tell people when they ask me how much of this can you do, how much of this can you do, I tell them the two numbers that are the most important numbers, and this is even with the use of budget reconciliation, which enables us to do legislation in the Senate with a 51 vote majority instead of the usual 60.